What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay. We will have Emilio joining us shortly. Jacob is on assignment at the office. So we're here to talk a little Packers this evening live on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble on this glorious May the 13th on a day where the market soared, America cooking. Man, it was a great day. Tim, how you doing, Bubba?
Doing good. Portfolio's looking good, right, Clay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you dove into the discount fire sale, you're looking pretty darn good today.
Pretty good.
I'll tell you someone else who's looking to get paid is Zach Tom. We'll talk about that if we have time here on the show. We did a little market value breakdown, so excited to get into that. We'll also talk some thresholds. We'll talk a little past draft class as we just got a couple articles put together here on our Patreon group. Tim, is there anything at the forefront of your mind before we dive into the topics, man? I know, let me just say this, first of all, it's the 19th anniversary today, wedding anniversary for me and Mandy, so we may cut it a little short. We'll definitely give you 40 minutes, but who knows, man, if we're rolling. Like Tim said, you better keep it at 40 if you want to make it the year 20. So we'll see how it goes. So anyway, Tim,
happy anniversary to you guys, man. Congrats. It's awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it was a good one, man. It was a good one. She is the glue. There's no doubt about it, man. Anything at the forefront of your mind, Packers-wise, you want to hit on before we kind of get cranked up, man? Anything at all?
I guess shout out to our boy Clay Matthews, right? Busting with the boys deal. That's that popped across my feed. I think it's awesome, man. I think he's gonna fit in just fine over there with those gents.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it, man. I'm excited about it to get some content from Clay, one of the more colorful former Packers, and obviously he caused a little bit of a stir on Twitter earlier today. If you haven't seen it, we're not going to talk about it here. Go check it out yourself. But he's I respect people that they feel the way they feel and they're not shy about it on both sides. To be honest with you, it's just cool to see him. Like 2-0 for this says right here, Clay Matthews and AJ Hawk both being on big shows is awesome. It really is, man. Two guys that carried that Super Bowl team. I've said it since day one. AJ Hawk does not get the credit he deserves being a team captain for as long as he was and just playing fundamentally sound in that defense. Maybe not, as flashy as some people would want out of a top 5 pick, but boy, oh boy, hardly. I don't know how many games he missed him, but you talk about durability. That dude was not going to miss games, man.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. I mean, the one thing him and Clay did not have in common is I don't think AJ really got the recognition and the respect that he truly deserved. I think, everybody were Clay fans, right? The Clay maker, that was he was a big deal here in Green Bay, but AJ Hawk was just a blue collar lunch pail guy, man. Go there, do his job, nothing exciting, and not for the extra fanfare. And so I think because of that, he got kind of overlooked a little bit and underappreciated, I guess would be the term. I think AJ Hawk was definitely that steady Eddie that Jacob always talks about. So, but yeah, I agree with the comment, man. It's awesome these two guys being on bigger shows, and it'll be fun to watch the content, like you said.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Jake in the chat, good to see you, buddy. He says, "Hey y'all, hope all is well. Excited to hear your thoughts on a future show on Golden's path to the draft episode on his YouTube channel." That went live today. Yeah, I got to see a little bit of it. I loved the first one where it was kind of behind the scenes at the draft, and this is leading up to the process. I caught maybe 10 minutes of it. It looks any kind of content you get from a first round round wide receiver the Packers have taken since 2002. It's going to be awesome to kind of get that inside information. Golden, I think he's the perfect blend, Tim, of confident but not cocky. You know what I mean? Like you could tell he's confident in his ability, but to me, he doesn't come across as cocky at all.
No, he seems like a very humble guy. Underneath the swagadocious exterior, right? You got to have confidence, but it's a fine line between being arrogant or cocky and confident. And I would agree. I think Matthew Golden fits that mold perfectly. Those are the type of guys we like, right? Nothing wrong with being a little confident, little swagger, but just don't be an ass about it, right?
Exactly, man. Exactly. All right, man. Let's get into some content here. Let's start off with a little threshold talk, Tim. We talk about this every year when it comes to the draft, and it's a big conversation piece. You get those guys out there on Twitter that are the threshold police. You could post, man, really like this guy. The Packers will never take him, right? You get that a lot. And it's all around. Listen, we got threshold markers on our draft board every year. We want you to know, hey, if it comes down to these two guys, the Packers are probably going to lean towards this one if they're in the same overall tier of talent, because they do press into the thresholds a little bit, but it doesn't mean they're going to go outside of it if the value is great enough for that specific pick. So what I did was put a little article together and comb through the internet, pulled from like 16 or 17 different websites to try to get some information using AI to see, all right, what did they do different this year, if anything, when it comes to the thresholds? Because it did seem like it was a little more free this year, a little more freedom, I guess you could say, that Goody used in terms of getting away from the threshold of touch. So let's just dive into it here, man. The Green Bay Packers have long adhered to a distinct scouting philosophy rooted in the Ron Wolf era, prioritizing athleticism and specific physical traits for each position. While this formula has guided their draft strategy for decades, the 2025 NFL Draft saw the Packers both honor their core principles and stretch their boundaries in notable ways. Here's a closer look at how their 8 selections aligned with or deviated from their established draft tendencies. All right. And he goes on to say a balancing act, athletic testing and exceptions. The 2025 draft class presented a unique challenge. Many prospects opted out of some or all pre-draft athletic testing, a trend that could have forced Green Bay to rethink their reliance on measurable data. General Manager Brian Gutekunst emphasized pre-draft that incomplete testing complicates evaluations and often hurts the prospect's stock, which I totally agree with. But again, if a player wants to take that risk of their stock potentially falling because they're afraid something may happen during the testing process, may it be an injury or maybe you don't test as well, good on them. You know, that's the risk and reward that comes with that, right? So true to his word, every Packers draftee participated in at least some testing, with none skipping the critical 40-yard dash. This suggests Green Bay's commitment to athletic benchmarks remains unwavering, even in a year when testing data was scarce. However, the Packers did make exceptions, selecting players with incomplete athletic profiles in 7 of their 8 picks. Let's dive into how these selections reflect both adherence to and departures from their draft principles. So key draft picks and their fit with the Packers philosophy. All right, let's start off with the first pick there, 23rd overall pick, first round, I should say, Matthew Golden. Golden represents one of the more significant deviations from Green Bay's first-round norms. His athletic testing was limited. He ran a 40-yard dash but skipped vertical, broad, and agility drills, making him the least tested first-round pick since 2001 at 5'11", 191 pounds. He's also the smallest boundary receiver drafted under Gutekunst, smaller even than Greg Jennings, who was 5'11", 197 from the Ted Thompson era. Despite this, Golden fits Green Bay's obsession with elite speed, boasting a top-tier relative athletic score, speed grade, a trait shared by 9 of Gutekunst's 10 first-rounders, Jordan Love being the outlier, obviously at quarterback, maybe not so much worried about it. His selection shows the Packers are willing to bend on size and testing, but not on game-changing speed. So as you can see here, the golden child. What do you think, Tim? I think one of the things that comes to mind for me when you talk about Matthew Golden and maybe getting away from a little bit of the norm in the athletic testing or the size in this specific situation here, being the smallest, even smaller than Greg Jennings that was taken during the Ted Thompson era, is they really, really liked his personality. They really liked his demeanor. You know, Goody kind of talked about that. He just one of these guys that seems to ooze with confidence, but also have a certain level of work ethic, and then coming from a blue-collar background as well. Obviously, we talked about in his breakdown the other day some of the personal stuff he had to deal with growing up.
Yep.
But what do you think, man?
I think that it really did go a long way when it came down to it throughout the scouting process. Confident, humble, and hardworking. I mean, it's a great combination right there. And, we got to remember, Matt Golden was the guy that, as soon as we announced the pick, he wanted access to the facility. Like, the guy was ready to leave the draft green room and go work out immediately. So, you can add hungry to that list too. You got a guy that is hungry to win, hungry to get better, and he fits the mold. So you're willing to make a little bit of a deviation off your normal thresholds when you fall in love with a player like that. It's not just, Matt LaFleur said it himself. we don't want robots. We don't want robots in Green Bay. We want guys that have a passion, have emotion, have a desire to win. And I think that's why they ultimately took the shot with Matthew Golden there in the first round.
Yeah. H.E. Soder with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says team captain, top 30 visits, Senior Bowl or Shrine are still staples. Generally, RAS is still a thing. Shift in body types as the game is changing. The big thing that sticks out, man, they love those Senior Bowl guys. Every single year, it just seems like their draft class is littered with them. And the top 30 visits as well. Proved again. As we found out after the draft, Savion Williams was a top 30 visit. We talked about early, Micah Robinson was a top 30 visit. Matthew Golden was a top 30 visit. Anthony Belton was a top 30 visit. Who was the fourth rounder? Barron Sorrell. I don't think Barron Sorrell was the top 30, and I don't think Colin Oliver was. I could be wrong. I don't have the draft board pulled up, but yeah, I'm with you there, Soder. And again, man, with the game constantly changing, I think you find yourself in a position too where you go, okay, we feel like most of the pieces, if not all the pieces, are in place. Let's get a little bit aggressive here. Let's take a swing at a guy who's got, this supposed blazing 40-yard dash. I can't wait till he hits a home run, Tim, so we can stop talking about, is he really that fast? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. When I turn on the tape, I see it. And I know many people that I respect a lot, they turn on the tape and they say they don't see it. But I'm literally watching him pull up to make catches because the ball is so underthrown. It's like, if he's having to slow down, he had his guy beat, right? So I think he'll be fine. Now, will he absolutely cut corners in the league early on? Probably not. He's going to have to adapt to the speed of the game and get a little bit more refined in his route running and all that to be able to create separation, even whether it's release off press man or it's just at that second level of the route where you can kind of create a little separation and then get that burst in the right time. And the thing I'm really happy about, though, with him is obviously tracking the ball. So appreciate
he won't have to slow down and deal with underthrown balls. He's got a better quarterback here in Green Bay for sure.
It might be the opposite. They maybe
might have to run a few of them down.
Yeah, Jordan might throw it out the stadium for sure. All right, up next, look at this guy right here. You kidding me? Big Anthony Belton, offensive tackle in the second round. Belton at 336 pounds, the heaviest offensive lineman Green Bay has drafted in the
Escalade
or Thompson eras, surpassing the previous high by 15 pounds. And again, this is something I ran into in the draft process last year. When I was seeing offensive line, I go, man, really like him. People, they'll never draft somebody that heavy. And here goes Anthony Belton in the second round, right? Basically a year and a half, 2 years later. Surpassing the previous high by 15 pounds. His 6'6" frame ties the tallest lineman in this era as well. You remember we were having that conversation in the draft process this year, Tim. There were people in the chat going, I think he's too tall. Goody likes him a little bit shorter than that. They kind of broke the norm there with this pick for sure. It says challenging the assumption that the Packers avoid oversized tackles due to concerns about leverage and versatility. Belton's combined weight was 336 pounds, but he's hinted at wanting to shed another 10 pounds to align with Green Bay's typical range in the low 320s. Interestingly, Gutekunst's interest in hefty linemen isn't new. Rumors suggest the Packers coveted 333-pound Darnell Wright in 2023. That was one of the people that we were talking about. If I remember correctly, Darnell Wright played for Tennessee, and I had a little bit of experience watching him play down here with all their games being on TV. Mm-hmm. And I remember people coming at me going, he's too heavy. But, it says Belton's athleticism and size suggest Green Bay values movement skills over strict weight limits as long as height doesn't exceed their threshold. What do you think about it? Man, yeah, he is definitely thick. There's no doubt about that. What do you think, man?
I think that's a spot on right there because that must have been the intent, right? He's a little bit, big dog, right? You put him in an NFL facility, get him cut up, right? Get him on that pro workout plan. I'm sure he's going to cut a little bit of weight and be slightly leaner. But hey, there's nothing wrong with big bodies on your line, right? You don't want a guy getting shoved around and pancaked all day. So I'm excited about this pick. Threshold be damn. This is a ball of clay, right? You can mold guys like this into the type of lineman that you want. So I personally like the pick. I like the deviation away from the typical thresholds.
Yeah, for sure. All right, up next, our boy Savion Williams, third rounder. Williams breaks the mold as the least productive pure receiver Green Bay has drafted in recent memory, with just 611 receiving yards in his best college season compared to Christian Watson's 801. So evidently before that, Christian Watson was the least productive that they had drafted. However, his versatility at TCU, Swiss Army knife, offsets this with 322 rushing yards and 12 total touchdowns, 6 receiving with 6 rushing in 2024. His 933 yards from scrimmage made him a palatable exception, showing the Packers value dynamic playmakers over traditional production metrics at skill positions. So obviously going a little bit away from the production that they typically like to see in college. And it's so cool, man. When Pack Daddy did his podcast about a week or two ago, he was talking about how, there was multiple Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions, and Minnesota Vikings fans just talking about how they absolutely love Savion Williams. He's like, you watch. Now that the Packers took him, they'll be all on the hate train. Like, oh, yeah, this was a reach. This was a reach. And literally, Ryan's already got the receipts lined up. He already played the audios on the show of them just raving over him. So obviously Savion, the outlier here, Tim, is they kind of went away from production a little bit, man. Just probably seeing what he can do on the field,
Absolutely. And you remember Goody's comments. They had no intention on taking a receiver, in the third round. That was not in the game plan, but that's how the board fell. And clearly they were in love with him. And I think he's going to prove to be a deadly weapon in this Matt LaFleur offense. It's not about how are we going to use him. It's what is he not going to do in this offense. I think it's going to be a little bit of everything. But, so there had to be something there. It's just, obviously his tape from TCU is just, if you want to have a really great evening, go watch some of his highlights and, look at the type of player he is. Explosive might be an understatement. So makes perfect sense for them to go ahead and break the mold here and take a guy like him.
Yeah, and as H.E. Soder says in the chat, Williams got a C on that jersey. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is like in free agency, both the big free agent signings last year, not this year, but last year, Xavier McKinney, team captain, Josh Jacobs, team captain. It's obvious that Goody really, really does covet that. Another thing that we have on our PTA big board every year next to all the captain players on the team for sure. Daryl in the chat, Savion Williams is going to be awesome on offense. I hope so. I really do, man. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's got all the tools you need to work with. A little bit higher drop rate. But when you see those contested catches and that contested catch rate, it makes me sleep a little bit easier on that. Like he's got it in him.
Yeah.
They just got to now get him on that jugs machine and get the normal catches down, get that refined. I think he'll be just fine.
Just like Matthew Golden's tape though at Texas. I mean, we saw some underthrown, overthrown behind him passes too that Savion was having to deal with too. So, the drop rate can be it can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's on your wideout and sometimes it's on your quarterback for just throwing a bad ball. So it'll be fun to watch him develop though at the pro level.
Yeah. Coach Lynn in the chat says Williams going to take some of the hits off Reed. That's a great point, Coach.
Yep.
If to give Reed a little breather and allow Savion to get in there and run with physicality, think about it. You face Jaden Reed, who I imagine is somewhere around 5'10" or 5'11", 190 some pounds, I would think is about his size. I don't know what he's playing at right now. You get used to him on a couple of jet sweeps, and all of a sudden you see a damn near 6'4", 230-pound wide receiver getting the rock. Those corners going to think a lot more about trying to hit him coming off the edge there.
Or mix in a couple of them rub routes with Savion and Reed. Oh, let them figure out what the hell they're supposed to do when that happens. Love it.
No doubt about it. We got Emilio joining us now. Emilio, just to get you caught up, we're hitting on a little threshold. Some of the things that Goody had kind of deviated from. And the first one you'll see here is obviously edge defender Barryn Sorrell. I want to say this about Barryn Sorrell. We got the chalk talk ready. Probably won't get to it tonight. We're trying to hold it until we got a dead time, right? And we'll rifle through all those. You know what part of me is thinking, guys? I'm thinking they may like to try to work. They're going to play both of them on the edge. Don't get me wrong. They like their big edges. But I'm kind of looking at Barryn Sorrell's tape and going, what if they kick him into 3-tech a little bit? Or they beef up LVN a little bit, put him at 3-tech a little bit more, and have Barryn Sorrell kind of take his place on the outside a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like mix and match in that regard. But this is one of my favorite prospects this year. When we do the chalk talk, you guys are going to go, holy cow, this dude can play some damn football. So here's what we said about kind of what they deviated away from here with Barron Sorrell, obviously in the 4th round. Sorrell's 32.5-inch arms are shorter than any edge rusher Gutekunst has drafted, though they're longer than Clay Matthews's from the Thompson era. This pick suggests Green Bay is willing to compromise on arm length for other redeeming qualities, such as Sorrell's pass rush upside. Emilio, we kind of led the whole thing off here with how anytime you post a prospect you like on Twitter, you got the threshold police come flying in and tell you why you're stupid, that they'll never take them, right? And I'm telling you, Goody is good. I had a tweet typed up when we got back into town from Green Bay from the draft. It was on a Tuesday. I'll never forget. On a Tuesday, I had a tweet topped up that said, "Someone check on the threshold police. They're not well today." And I went, Clayton, and I thought of what Peter Schrager says, like with his advice breaking into the sports media business was work hard and don't be an asshole. And I'm like, you're being an asshole, Clayton. Let's don't send that tweet out. So I deleted it. But what do you think about this, man? 32.5-inch arms. We heard it a lot during draft season. The arms aren't long enough, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. We talked about I forgot the tackle, but just because he had 5/8 instead of a full inch on his arms, he was under the the limit, and then you're not going to take him in the first round. Maybe he's a second rounder. It's like, all right, are we really going to talk about just a quarter-inch difference? I mean, that it'll buff. I mean, a quarter-inch, that'll buff. You can bend 2 pieces of wood together and make quarter-inch fit. So I'm totally fine with it. And Goody even said it. Like, I know you were going over the first couple picks, but with Golden, hey, he might be a little bit on the smaller threshold size, but he's got one elite trait in its speed, and that's where we can base that off of. And I do like that they aren't completely stuck to it, and you got to be able to branch off. You can't be just stuck in your ways. You can't be stuck in a rut and say, I'm only going to take people over 6 foot. You're never going to find that talent. Those are those hidden gems, those athletes, Clay. You got to get, you get them scouted up, get the full scouting report, and it's over. I mean, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and then you can cherry pick your top 3 or 4 attributes, right?
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I'm going to take him. I'm going to put him at quarterback. He's going to be my safety, and then I got a running back, and we're good.
Sharing all the secrets over here, man. I hope you're not running online dynasty anymore.
No.
We're learning right now. So Coach Lynn says, does Sorrell hold enough weight to play 3-tech? Not ideally, Coach, right? But just when you look at his college tape, and I don't know, man, to me, it kind of feels like he's one of those guys that if they put an extra 10 pounds on him, you could probably roll him out there to 3-tech in those pass rushing situations. Now, again, he's got to do it, right? Tim, he's got to go out there at the NFL level. It's going to be way different than college. However, he did play against top-end competition at Texas, and we know that his defense was loaded. And I love what Goody did, man, taking a couple swings here and there, right? It's like, it's kind of like with Georgia's defensive line. We got Warren Brinson. You end up with Nazir Stackhouse. I'm trying to think of who the other guy was. Didn't we get another Georgia guy too? Maybe we didn't this year. Anyway, Goody's probably going, one of these guys are going to be a hit. Let's just get them all, right? Get them all in there, Tim.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at some early draft write-ups here on Barron Sorrell. Talked about him being versatile, anywhere from a 4-eye to a wide 7.
Yep.
Okay. And then, solid play strength provides a strong foundation as a rotational role in a multi-front NFL defense. What did we talk about last night with Coach Covington on this D-line? We talked about being able to revert to a 34 look if we need to situationally. Mm-hmm. And this guy right here, Mr. Sorrell, I think is going to be one of those pieces that you're going to see utilized in a wide variety of ways. Kind of talking about 3-tech though, or kicking inside. I think I'd rather see LVN go there initially in that role and keep Sorrell on the edge, but we'll see, man. Let this staff have fun at camp and figure out how they're going to utilize these guys and see how he transitions to the NFL level. But it is very interesting when you look at it. I think, again, this is why they were willing to just kind of step aside the typical threshold markers and go ahead and just get an absolute dog of a football player and put him out here with this staff. So I think it's great.
Yeah. And I love, too, that, obviously the 32.5-inch arm shorter than any edge rusher Gutekunst has drafted, but don't forget Mr. Clay Matthews, So
and we're going to talk about it, but Colin Oliver, it's like we got a bend dude, and we've been going after LVN type, Enigbari type stand up, set the edge being at 260, 270. But again, we're still wanting a lot from LVN. Where are his reps going to go? As he's kind of, after Preston got traded, didn't you think that LVN was going to get more reps? It didn't really happen.
Right.
So, you got to fill the spot at some point. Someone's going to have to be on the field.
Yeah, and depending on how camp goes and OTAs and everything, I don't expect Barron Sorrell to go out there and get a ton of snaps. I'm thinking, 10 to 15, maybe something like that, depending on injuries and depending on how the game's going. But in terms of like what you talked about, Tim, how Coach Covington has that experience with the multi-front, yes, we know that because we know how New England played defense for so long under Bill Belichick, right? And even Gerard Mayo for the year he was there. But also, it's exactly what Jeff Hafley said last night, right? When we listened to his presser yesterday, that's exactly what he was talking about. It was like, yeah, he brings that experience, and we're definitely open to ideas. Now, people were going, Hope, you're saying we're going back to a 3-4? No, nobody's saying that. But let me explain something to you. If you play a 4-3 under, right, and you put a 5-man front out there, guess what that is?
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially the same thing as our 34 jam. You're just going to have an elephant end as opposed to a 34 outside linebacker. So you've kind of got that same 5-man front. It turns into a 34 jam.
Being multiple is huge. It's like taking away the nasty splits from Matt LaFleur. Like, are we really going to talk about that? No. I mean, he's going to always have that. It would be like, you ever watch, UT play, you get extra wide splits. You got the wide receivers standing on the outside, hash lines. You're using all 53 yards of the field. But on defense, we just don't see that much difference. Obviously, it's like a, 4-3-3-4 or, a 4-2-5 or a 2-4-5. Basically in the NFL, that's pretty much what you're looking at. But you have in college, you got a 3-2-6, a 3-3-5, wide, tight, all those. 3 high. So there's a bunch of different options. I would like us to be flexible if we could. I think Ryan was always talking about Wisconsin, where they had all those same size edge rushers, linebackers. You can sim it a lot easier when you're coming in on those blitzes. But shoot, even if they're 260 and we're able to flip flop them once in a while, you lose track of the guys. That's perfect.
Yeah. H.E. Solar says the addition of Oliver really makes you think they're looking at hitting some 3-4 scan. I mean, it could be possible. And here's what I see with Oliver. It kind of feels like the first year install is already taken place for Jeff Hafley. And now you step back and go, maybe we throw a little Leo or Viper, whatever you want to call it, right? I'll tell you this. You go back and watch the tape last year. They had Rashawn Gary playing Joker, sending up over the center a couple times, right? So they started to implement a lot of different things. And on that specific play, they had him scrape. So he's kind of playing linebacker on that particular play, even though he's just kind of standing up 1 yard off the ball, somewhere between a 1 and a 0 tech. And then they had Kenny crash over into the center and try to loop Gary or scrape him off of, I think it was Kenny Clark's, hip pocket there. So, all right, moving on to the 5th round pick, and that's our boy edge/linebacker Colin Oliver. When we get to his chalk talk, going to be an absolute blast, boys. I'm telling you, he is so much fun to watch. You're talking about a guy who can drop into coverage and rush the quarterback. Now, listen, he plays with speed. However, there is some power on tape too. I think speed is his superpower. This is a guy that's kind of cut from that cloth of someone you want to play Viper, you want to play Leo, that type of guy. Someone else you want to do that's probably Edgerrin Cooper and or Quay Walker. They got a little bit of pass rushing ability, and they've got the athleticism to drop into coverage, right? But here we go with Oliver at 6'1" 2/3 of an inch, and 240 pounds. You guys remember? Say this real quick. You remember when we were talking about our boy James Pierce Jr.?
Yep.
And the Threshold Police came out and were like, "There's no way they'll draft an edge defender at 240." Here we go, right? Here he is. So is a major outlier if viewed as an edge rusher, down 10 pounds lighter and an inch shorter than any Gutekunst drafted edge. However, his frame aligns with linebacker prototypes, suggesting Green Bay sees him as a hybrid who can play off ball or rush the passer. His flexibility likely justified the pick, showing the Packers' willingness to take chances on multi-role defenders. I'm going to tell you something else that will probably pop with him. I could see him being a huge special teams contributor. He just kind of got that motor. So, again, I think it's going to be one of those guys that if you're inside linebacker room, Tim, if they get a little banged up, right, and you're down a body or two, you could throw him back there at stack backer. If your edge room gets a little bit light in the loafers because of some injuries, guess what you can do? Throw him in at edge, right? I think there's a lot of value with that.
I agree 100%. And I think the versatility factor is what made him so enticing to us. Sometimes that can hurt a prospect, right? You're kind of a tweener and they don't know where you're going to play, but I think it's where isn't he going to play? I think it's a great point. And, undersized was the big knock on him in the scouting reports. And again, so you see the Packers again, they're not sticking to the threshold indicator here. They're going for top tier talent and they're going for what they think is going to work in this Hafley system. And I agree, whether he's coming off the edge or he's playing, Mike or Will, he's going to help our football team for sure. And yeah, special teams is going to be his way to play his way onto the field. Let's be honest. That's how it's always been, if you can go out there and, knock somebody's block off on a return, that's going to go well for the staff. They're going to give you another opportunity. So it'll be fun to watch him develop.
Definitely. And Greg Rice says, I say Goot traditionally likes his edges, O-line, D-line like this. I'm glad he deviated for football players. And it's like when you turn on the tape, you can kind of see when a player's like, man, the game looks natural to him. And then you'll get a physical freak where it's like kind of like LVN. LVN has all the tools physically. God built him to be a dominant edge rusher, Emilio, right? Absolutely. But he's got to go out there and kind of put it together. And I love what I think it was Coach Lynn said, LVN plays better in a 4-eye, in my opinion. That's what we talked about, right? We talked about that coming out in that draft. And if you guys were listening to the pod at the time, one of the things that I said was like, I remember this specifically, I heard going into the summer after the draft, Greg Cosell said, I'm hearing out of Green Bay that they see LVN, Lucas Van Ness, as strictly an edge defender. He said, that kind of surprises me because what he did well at Iowa was playing inside, somewhere between a 4-eye, not necessarily a 3, but a 4-eye to a 5 tech as opposed to a 7. But again, Emilio, these guys, you got to find out what their limitations are, right? You got to get them out there and test them. So.
Yeah, I mean it's like you're gonna have pepperoni pizza the rest of your life. I mean, I gotta see what a cheese is. I gotta see what just maybe a pepperoni and sausage is like. Dude, 6'1", 2.5, 2.3. That's completely a normal body size. It's kind of like when we were talking about Mikael Williams, that Georgia edge rusher. Like we didn't want him in the first because of the body size, right? He was a little bit smaller of an edge rusher. We didn't want to really mess with that. But in the 5th, 6th round, why not give it a shot? I mean, it's how well did Clay work out for us? If we could get another one, kind of like that. I miss the bend. Maybe Hafley said, hey, okay, maybe we need to get a little bit more edge pressure and push that pile forward so that our D-line can make a little hay. And I think that we have a nice interior. If you move LVN inside and out, you have a two-way go there. I think that's helpful. And then, again, if we look at NASCAR packages and try to go a little light and fast, I would be completely fine with that. It's just our defense, if our heavy defense can get us into those 2nd, 3rd, and long so that we can get to that rush. Because it's not like we can start just rushing the passer with all speed. Yeah.
Up next, we got Warren Brinson, 6th-round pick. Brinson's 40-yard dash and 10-yard split times were fractionally slower than any defensive tackle Goodkins has drafted, trailing Carl Brooks by a mere hundredths of a second. These differences are negligible, indicating Brinson fits squarely within Green Bay's athletic expectations for the position. So even though he came up a little bit short, you're kind of splitting hairs at that point, right? So Warren Brinson, another guy, man, I kind of feel. You guys tell me what you think about this, Tim. I'm a little more excited about Nazir Stackhouse, who was an undrafted free agent, than I am Warren Brinson. However, it's obvious Goody had a much higher grade on Warren Brinson than he did Stackhouse, right?
In Goot we trust, right? Because Nas Stackhouse was who I thought we were going to pull the trigger on in the later rounds, personally. And he was a guy that I wanted. Brinson, not as high on my radar, like you had said. So we ended up with them both. I don't care if one's a UDFA. These guys are Packers, and it's awesome. There's the Georgia pipeline is real with this team. It goes without saying at this point, right? And we like our Bulldogs here in Green Bay. So I'm excited though. But Nas Stackhouse, that's going to be a guy to watch at camp too, for sure. Not to take anything away from Warren Brinson, but we need to fill some voids there on that D line, and I think we did a good job picking up some guys from Georgia.
Yeah, I think it's nice because we went after Carl Brooks, Bowling Green. We got Wooden. I don't remember what school he went to, but you go ahead and say, hey, Brinson, I'm going to get him, draft him. We got a Georgia guy in here. We get a second Georgia guy like Nas. I like Nas. I think he's probably going to make the roster, and Brinson's already almost guaranteed to make the roster just because he was that draft pick. So you bring in 2 Georgia dudes down there in the middle. And then if Wooden's not it anymore, okay. If Carl Brooks isn't it, okay. But at least you've replaced it with a little bit more talent. But I don't think that they're at that point with those 2 guys. So I think that everyone's going to kind of get a shot. And we talked about hockey line last year. This is the hockey line for a defensive line, man. If we can get some of these guys, showing out.
Yeah.
Soder had it in the chat. Kobe Wooden went to Auburn.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Greg Rice says, weren't Aaron Donald and Ray Lewis not typical sizes for their positions? I know Aaron Donald wasn't. And what's crazy is, like, you get these guys that every 3 or 4 years that are extremely undersized and they end up being Hall of Fame players. Like Aaron Donald, just an absolute madman, which, by the way, since Elton Jenkins has been kind of one of the topics of conversation here lately, and they're most likely going to try to rework that deal a little bit for him. I remember when he dominated Aaron Donald. He had Aaron Donald frustrated, and he manhandled him that game. I'll never forget that. I remember seeing a meme that was created on Twitter that just broke me up. It was literally Elton Jenkins' face photoshopped on a dad sitting there, and his little son was sitting on his knee, and they put Aaron Donald's.
I remember that. That was hilarious.
Like, we got to ride this one out, boys. This probably ain't going to happen again. But he kicked Aaron Donald's ass the entire day.
That was probably like one of like 2 or 3 times in Aaron Donald's career that he didn't get to do what he wanted to do out there on that football field. He just had no answers for Big E.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what was I going to say there? Oh, another one too. You guys remember James Harrison for the Pittsburgh Steelers, right?
Yeah.
I think he may have been undrafted. That was a guy that did not have edge defender, outside linebacker in a 34 defense, top measurables, and he dominated as well. Absolutely dominated. So, all right, moving along, we got Micah Robinson, cornerback out of Tulane, with the 7th round pick at 183 pounds. Robinson is the lightest cornerback Green Bay has drafted since at least 2011, edging out Shamar Jean-Charles by a pound. Gutekunst has acknowledged Jean-Charles as an outlier, and Robinson's selection reinforces that weight is a flexible parameter when other traits like coverage skills stand out. So obviously a much smaller cornerback than Goody typically likes here in Micah Robinson. This is another dude too, kind of like Nazir Stackhouse. I'm excited to hear about camp updates from him. I really am.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like this is this year's Kalen King. We were kind of excited about Kalen King last year, late in the draft, grabbing a corner. And I look right here at Micah Robinson. It's another young player. Yeah, he's a little undersized, but if he's a baller, he's going to fit in. So it'll be really fun to watch him out there working.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it, honestly. Being able to come in Fordham, right? I think you went from
yeah, I think, or was it Furman?
Furman to Tulane, stepping up in competition and being able to still produce. I love that, they like his hands, his instincts. You heard Half talking about him. Production for DBs in college is key. If you can't get around the ball, then I think that's an issue. So, how are they going to be able to teach you how to be around the ball? It's just some dudes just have a knack for it. You're just always around it. And that's what we can maybe get out of them.
Yeah, who was that in the chat that was talking about the helmet there, Tim? Was that?
Oh, that was Soder.
Yeah.
Tulane has some ugly helmets.
Man, who the hell designed that?
Could be a crackhead.
All right, moving along here. Up next, you got John Williams, offensive lineman out of Cincinnati. All right, 7th round pick. Had Belton not been drafted a day earlier, Williams, 1 pound heavier than Sean Ryan and Derek Sherrod, would have been the heaviest offensive lineman in the Gutekunst-Thompson era. His selection reinforces Green Bay's openness to bigger linemen, provided they meet athletic thresholds. So not only did they take a 2nd round pick that's way heavier than they normally take, they also went in the 7th round and got John Williams here out of Cincinnati. So it's obvious that I think I heard, I can't remember who I heard talking about this. I wish I could give credit to the right person, but they were talking, it might have been Tauscher talking about this on their show. But he said, I think Goody kind of seen Philadelphia playing bully ball in that playoff game and was like, hey, let's start to build our lineup a little bit so we can kind of handle this a little bit more. Which, by the way, somebody had mentioned it earlier in the show, and I I meant to mark it and I missed it. We got them on Monday Night Football, November 10th at Lambeau Field, I believe it is. So
yeah, Bates mentioned that.
Yeah,
on
that's going to be absolutely
Marine Corps' birthday. What a treat.
Yeah,
I know Bates will be at that game for sure.
You don't think Bates will be sauced up, do you?
Maybe a little.
No, not at
Come
all.
on, you got to have 1 or 2 daddy sodas for the Corps, man.
Oh, he's having a couple daddies. We might have to send Bates a super chat for that one.
That reminds me too. When I asked Bates if he was going to be at the draft, he said, "I'm not going to make it to the draft because me and some Philly buddies are going to be going to the Philly Packer game at Lambeau this year." So I bet he is jacked over that. So we need to get a live
post game. We got to send him a GoPro or something. Just strap it.
Post game show. I want a drunken FaceTime from United Bates live.
That would be perfect.
Yeah,
love it.
All right. So what we learned about Green Bay's draft approach, the 2025 draft reveals the Packers front office that's both disciplined and adaptable. While they deviated from their norms in 7 of 8 picks, these exceptions were calculated, often tied to elite speed with Golden, athleticism with Belton, or positional versatility with Williams and Oliver. The refusal to draft players who skip the 40-yard dash underscores their commitment to measurable data, even in a testing light year. Meanwhile, picks like Belton and Williams suggest Green Bay is less rigid about weight than previously thought, prioritizing movement and fit over strict size caps. Gutekunst's track record shows a knack for balancing tradition with flexibility. As he joked post-draft, his scouting days were marked by a bias towards bigger players, a tendency that seems to persist. For fans and analysts, the 2025 draft is a reminder that while the Packers' blueprint is well-defined, it's not inflexible. They'll bend the rules, but only for players who check enough of their core boxes there. That's right. Absolutely. So is there anything else you guys want to hit on there before we hit the super chat and wrap this section up here, man?
Real quick on John Williams, I think it might be the first time in a while that we drafted a tackle and he might actually play tackle. I don't know if they're going to kick him to guard on this O-line, but I guess I'll wait to be proven wrong. But I got a feeling that he might compete for that backup spot on the left side, possibly.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great point. Hey, Travis Glover, you got a little competition coming your way, bub.
Let's go. You're ready to go.
You think he's going to handle it, Emilio? He's
absolutely. Come on now.
All right. Our Aaron Rodgers, not the Aaron Rodgers, with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, evening, fellas. Question when it comes to camp. Are you guys team offense or team defense when winning reps? With battles at O-line and D-line needing to improve pass rush, I'm curious what y'all think. I'll tell you my experience there, and I want to get Tim's take because he's usually boots on the ground there at most of the training camp practices. Whoever won the day before, I want them to get their ass kicked the next day, Tim. That's what I need. That's what I want it to be balanced to where it's like, okay, both sides are competing, because it seems like here recently, you correct me if I'm wrong, it's always one-sided here lately, right? And many people were like, well, they were talking about how great this defense is supposed to be in camp, and they ended up sucking. No, they didn't suck. It was the strength of our team. What are you talking about, right? So what do you think? How would you answer that, Tim?
Yeah, the answer is yes. You want a competitive, hyper intense camp with, it's like Emilio always talks about, iron sharpens iron. So if your defense is winning on Wednesday, you want to see your offense win on Thursday. You want to see the guys taking turns doing push-ups after practice or whatever they're going to do this year for the loser in the matchups or whatever. But you guys know I'm a big defensive guy, so I'm always out there rooting for my defense. A lot of that comes from the fact that it makes our offense better. If these defenders are making it tough on Jordan and Malik and our guys in the QB room, they're making it hard on these receivers. That's a good sign. So I think you would like to see consistency. You'd like to see a back and forth kind of 50-50 split in an ideal world. But I always lean a little bit towards the defense. That's just me personally.
Yeah, I think so, Tim. I can't wait to see it. Honestly, I think that we get a lot of the young guys out there. I know the team's still a little young, but we've added some age to it. I just really can't wait. Let's get them on the bikes, get them down the road, and get them out there because. Seeing Jordan Love throw it to Golden and Savion and seeing the new D-line out there, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour 2. And again, Aaron, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Solder with the super chat. Appreciate you, pal. He says the cornerbacks, if there is no Ja, will really need pass rush. Suspect that they will, looking at last cut cornerbacks, if King do not ball out, King and someone else, I believe it says, do not ball out in the preseason. Yeah, I'm a little bit, I look at it a little different, Solder. I look at this cornerback room that, yeah, we lost 3 corners, but your starting corners are coming back. Jair missed, almost damn near 70% of the snaps last year, right? So you got Carrington Valentine coming back. You added Nate Hobbs. You got Keyshawn coming back as well, and you played Javon Bullard in the slot. So I hope Ja's here. Don't get me wrong. I think the team is much better with him on it if he plays 3 games, right? But you kind of look at what they did last year. I mean, we talked about they were top 5 in EPA per drop back. Mm-hmm. So, and that was with supposedly the pass rush being bad, even though they finished 8th in sacks. And you guys know where I stand on that. I don't think it was near as bad as people had kind of reported. I understand what you're saying, though. It doesn't mean you can't add to the room if somebody gets cut, right? And you can pick up somebody off the wire there a little bit for sure. So appreciate the super chat there, Soda. You're the man. But appreciate it. We had Ronald Peterman in here earlier. Says, "Why are you such a horrible journalist?"
Journalist.
Ronald Bub, it's the first time I've seen you in here. First of all, I want to say thanks for swinging through. If that's your real profile pic, it's probably past your bedtime, but we appreciate you hanging out with us. And I just want to say we're not journalists, man. We're not. Now, I appreciate the kind words saying that we're horrible journalists, seeing that we're just fans that talk about the Packers. So, find those 2 brain cells, rub them together, and let it bounce around that noggin of yours before you let it come flying out your mouth next time, okay?
Make sure you check out his feed on X, though, too. Those posts from 2021 are great.
Oh, really? We'll have to give that a gander. Look at Tim already did some research.
Oh, boy.
All right, let me write that down real quick.
Yeah, check. Yeah, Mandy, sorry. Appreciate the anniversary. You're not going to see Clay till 11 tonight.
I don't know, you guys, are you like me when you lay down at night? I'm bad about scrolling on the phone forever right before I go to sleep. And I'm always like, all right, what am I going to sleep to tonight? What am I watching on YouTube? What am I, putting something on in the background and dozing off? That's what I'll be doing. I'll be coming through his feed going, look at that one back in 2019. My God, swinging a miss. So going to be fun. We'll have to call him out here later. So, all right, let's move on to the next topic here. Brian Gutekunst's success, his draft success. Let me ask you guys this. First of all, let me do this. Would y'all rather hit on Brian Gutekunst's past draft success over the last 4 years, or would you rather hit on the Zach Tom market value? I'm going to let you guys call it right here. Which would y'all rather call?
You call it, Tim.
No, oh boy. All right, let's go with
Goody. All right,
let's go with Gangsta Goody.
All right, we'll stick with the theme here tonight. All right, so what I did was I like to do this every now and again. Go back and look at the past draft classes that the Packers put together, and then what are you laughing about?
They look young.
They do, don't they? They do.
Yeah, especially Goody.
Yeah, so I like to put together their past draft classes and go, okay, what are the PFF grades of these players? Are they even on the roster now? That type of thing, right? So here we go. Conehead Goody. Why y'all got to be like that, man? Somebody said it, I look like Goody. I was like, what are y'all talking about? We look nothing alike. Right? I hope that's the case. I don't look like that guy either. God almighty. So here we go with the 2025 NFL season fast approach, and we're taking a quick look at each of Brian Gutekunst's recent draft classes along with each player's 2024 PFF grade. I repeat, these are their PFF grades from 2024. Do you guys want to start with the oldest draft class or the newest draft class? Obviously not including this year. They haven't played a year. What would y'all rather do? Would you rather start in the pass or work our way backwards?
You take that one, Emilio.
I was going to say start in the pass and work our way forward.
Okay, let's do that. So we'll start down here, and it's going to look ugly early, okay?
That's fine. That's totally fine. You got to go through it.
Emilio, so let's get the bad news out of the way.
Seriously.
Right? So this was the 2021 draft class, okay? With the 29th pick, Eric Stokes, he has been cut. With the 62nd pick, Josh Myers, he has been cut. Pick 85 in the 3rd round, he has been cut. Royce Newman, 4th-round pick, cut. TJ Slayton, 173. I put cut, but you guys know he basically went into free agency, got that $7 million offer. I can't remember where he's playing, but
Bengals, I believe.
Bengals. Okay. Round 5, pick 178, Shamar Jean Charles, no longer on the roster. He's been
Appy State. I did not know he went to Appy State. I forgot about that.
Oh man, I didn't.
DJ would have loved him if he made it.
Oh yeah. Pick 214 out of the 6th round, Cole Van Lannon, cut. Pick 220, round 6, Isaiah McDuffie, all right, still on the roster. So he's the only player that was drafted by the Packers that's still on the roster, as Colin Hill at pick 256 was also cut. So Isaiah McDuffie.
Hopefully he's doing well, by the way. Kylan Hill was an injury related deal. Yeah. Real bad for him, kind of cut his career short. So hope he's doing well now post-football.
Definitely. Isaiah McDuffie, 55.4. What's your all's take on that draft class, Tim? You can go first, man. Hey, look, I ain't going to sugarcoat it. That's pretty ugly, right?
Yeah, my thoughts are yeah, that's it. I mean, I like the TJ Slayton pick. Yeah, that's about it. I was excited about Stokes. Stokes, when when he got here, he popped pretty well as a rookie, but
his rookie year, right, was like, hey, we may have something, but yeah, I bought into that.
I would think this arguably is probably his worst draft class, I think.
Yeah. And Dave's MX6 says Van Lannon was traded, wasn't he? May have been. Again, if I put cut, it just means they're no longer on the roster, right? Just like TJ Slayton, he wasn't necessarily cut. They let him test the market, and they got outbid in the market. That would suggest it's a good pick, right? Seeing that another team paid $7 million for him. You guys know how I felt about TJ Slayton. I would love to have had him back for $5 million. Once it got to $7 million, I'm going, okay. At some point, you got to have a no point. You know what I mean, Emilio? You got to be able. You got to get to that. It's all right. I'm not paying that much for that taco. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously, I mean, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not. And you look at it, and you maybe look at this last year. Okay, we still have Josh. Stokes was still here. So looking at it now, 4 years out, he ran out of all their rookie contracts. So it's really just okay. Who has made it up and past that rookie contract? Really, it's Isaiah McDuffie, and that's it. So I'm not mad at TJ, not mad at everybody else really that tried. It just didn't work out, and you're going to have that. But if we didn't have all these cuts, we wouldn't have the youngest team and have all these, this new blood rolling in. The amount of picks that Goody wants to keep every year, there's not enough numbers. There's not enough spots. So at some point, it was going to have to happen.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go to the year 2022, and you can see it gets a little bit better here, boys. So first round pick 22, Quay Walker, his PFF grade last year of 57.4, right? We've been pretty vocal about that. Pick 28 there in the first round, Devontae Wyatt, 66.4. You guys know how I feel. 65 and above, you're kind of all right. You're on par. It's not great, obviously, but you're kind of NFL level player, in my opinion. You get below 65, below 60, that's where I'm like, probably
65%. 65%.
That's what we probably need to try to replace him with somebody better. Christian Watson, I know injury cut the season short, but he did have a significant amount of snaps last year. That was pick 34 there in the second round, had a 70 PFF grade last year. I think we would all agree that was a hit of a pick. Just got to stay healthy. Next, you got in the third round, pick 92, Sean Ryan, a 61.3. I'm going to say that's a miss for me, right? Like you expect the third rounder to be able to contribute a little bit more than I think a Tucker Kraft, right? That type of player. And again, PFF isn't everything. It's just a quick little way for us to measure these guys. Fourth round, pick 132, Romeo Doubs, 69.7. Again, I don't think they're going to extend him, but I think that's proven to be a good pick. Yeah, how do you guys feel about Romeo Doubs? Let me stop there for a second. What do you think about Romeo? Do you think that was a good draft pick there in the fourth round? I think it was a great pick.
Oh, yeah, I love Rome. I've always been a big Rome fan. I think it was a good pick. I think he's a little misunderstood and, whatever. But out there on the football field, man, when he's on, man, Dobby is fun to watch, man.
Well, yeah, looking at that class, I mean, Sean Ryan's still getting starting reps. Romeo's getting starting reps. Zach Tom's starting. Kingsley's basically, rotating starting. Quay started the whole time. Devontae's rotating starting. Christian's starting. That's a good class. You can't be mad at it. Obviously, the numbers aren't perfect, but you're getting play time from these players, and you're not. I mean, looking at that, if you wanted to put another number next to the sides, put all their their
snap counts.
One, snap counts, Tim, and then two, how much they cost the team. Yeah, and you tell me that you're mad at that, right? I mean,
exactly.
You can't be.
I feel like this was the bounce back draft after that disaster in 2021. I think Goody got his swag back in 22.
Got him.
It's the weirdest looking do-rag, man. Like you got some tissue in the top of it or something. You know what I mean? What the hell's going on here?
He's keeping the braids down, man. You know, he had to keep them down.
Respect Orange just says, I love Dobbs, but he's probably not here next year. Yeah, I'm feeling like 95% sure he's not going to be a Green Bay Packer next year. You know, it sucks it couldn't have worked out any differently because I like Dobby too, but he definitely didn't help himself last year. You know, and it's just crazy because I think back to all the crazy contested catches he made. You know, especially in that Saints game. That contested catch in the Saints game coming down the stretch to basically give them the lead. You know, yeah, he's just so many times back shoulder. That when you talk about back shoulder chemistry, he has it with Jordan more than anybody, right? And let's hope.
I was just going to say chemistry in general with Jordan. That's why I was fighting for Dobbs for so long. They have that, you know, that mind meld kind of that they've already built together. So is that something you want to lose? I mean, if it's going to be a headache to the team, yeah. If it's going to be an injury to the team, sure. You know, if he doesn't want to be here, definitely. But they do have that connection.
Yeah. All right. Up next, Zach Tom. You guys think this is a hit? 85.8, fourth round pick, 140.
Here's the guy.
I mean, there's nothing else to say. We're going to get into the market value tomorrow. We'll hit on that a little bit. That should be a blast of a conversation there, which I was pleasantly surprised at what his market value is showing. If we get him at that number, I think we're good. I think we're good to go. Next, you got in the fifth round pick, 179, Kingsley Enagbare with a 56.8 last year. He showed flashes too. I was very high on him in the draft. You know, I remember we went 2 full rounds with him, the highest player on my board before Goody took him. And when they finally took him, I'm like, that's great value. And he's shown it. You know, he's shown at times he can rush the quarterback. I remember Michael Lombardi talking about him as well. Like he's a guy that really jumped off the tape to him.
Yep.
But he plays, you know, undisciplined at times, and he just can't be consistent in that regard. So Tariq Carpenter, that hybrid linebacker / safety, pick 228. He obviously no longer on the team. Jonathan Ford, defensive lineman, pick 234. I think we put him on the practice squad, and then I believe the Bears picked him up last year, if I remember correctly. So that's a miss. Rasheed Walker, however, pick 249. You got that PFF grade of 68.7. I mean, you're talking about a seventh-round pick. I think that was – I don't know if home run's the right word. Of course, when you look at the pass blocking, yeah, I guess you would say it was a home run, right?
Yeah.
Round pick for Rasheed. And then, of course, you had Samori Toure, who no longer on the team as well. He was picked 258 there in round 7. So when you look at this class, I feel very comfortable saying it's gotten significantly better from last year, right? For the year before, I should say. So you kind of look at it and you go, I don't see Quay as a hit, me personally. However, if you go to like what you guys were saying with Sean Ryan, he's starting. That tells you what Goody thinks about him. That tells you what Matt LaFleur thinks about him, right? So maybe so. But if I were to pick how many hits here, out of what was there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 draft, 10, 11 draft picks. So out of 11 draft picks, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I would call hits out of 11 for me there. So
I would agree.
And looking at it, we had 3 seventh rounders, 2 4s, 2 5ths, or a 5th. And again, you're going to run out of roster spots at some point. They had to go. Tariq got to go. You know, they have to move on. But we're going to lose. If we go to look at this next year, if we go back and look at all these draft classes again, probably half of this is going to be cuts as well. You know, you're going to run out of those 4 years. You're going to run out of the contract, and that's just the name of the game.
Yeah. Bungie Cheddarbug, what a name, in the chat says your top 6 picks are starters currently. That's a great point.
Great point.
And
also, Kingsley Enagbare is a great rotational guy. You know, I maybe don't love him as a starter in the starting role, but rotating in, he's a spark plug on that D.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where he just absolutely beat tackles like a drum, man. It's like, holy cow. And then you'd see him jump, leave his feet when he didn't need to, and the quarterback run right. It's like, what are we doing, Bob? Just play discipline. You're winning your matchups. You know, you really are. So, let's see. All right, let's go on to now the 2023 class here. And again, this is where you're getting to that range where it's like, okay, the verdict's still kind of out on these guys, right? Like I'm not ready to write them off completely yet because sometimes, like, let me give you an example. For everybody that loves Trey Hendrickson, I don't remember one. I shouldn't say that. The majority of Packer fans were like, trade for Trey Hendrickson, trade for Trey Hendrickson. The reality is Lucas Van Ness has been more successful in his first 2 years in the league than Trey Hendrickson was his first 2 years. That's cold, hard facts. Mm-hmm. So that's why you got to be careful and kind of let these guys develop. If LVN doesn't take a big step this year, now I'm kind of okay. Yeah, it's probably ain't working out. But here are the picks. Pick 13, 52.9 for Lucas Van Ness. Pick 42 in the second round, Luke Musgrave, 47.1 PFF. Great injury history there as well. Pick 50, round 2, Jaden Reed, 71.7. Love that pick. Pick 78 in the third round, Tucker Kraft, a 67.8. Although if you look at the statistics from last year, you're talking about a guy who put up some numbers that would say if he got more targets, he would be on par with the top 3 tight ends in the league. You know, the fact that they're not targeting him more, you blame the coaches for that. You can't blame the player. There's no doubt about it. I think they will get him more involved this year. Round 4, pick 116, Colby Wooden with a 50.0. Round 5, pick 149, Sean Clifford obviously has not graded out. He hasn't played a significant amount of snaps yet. Pick 159, round 5, Dontavion Wicks with a 65.1. I know I'm going to get roasted for this, and I don't care. He had a solid rookie year, drop issues last year, but like Wildy pointed out, the second half of the season, he fixed the drop issue, or maybe it was the last third of the season.
Yep.
He really started to clean that up, and he's our separation guy as well. 65.1 according to PFF, decent player there. And again, he graded even higher his rookie year. So I'm holding out hope still that Dontavion Wicks is going to get back to his rookie year form, fix the drops, and you're going to have a dude that can play X if Romes isn't here next year.
Mm-hmm.
Round 6, pick 179, Carl Brooks at a 61.8. Round 6, pick 207, Anders Carlson. You guys think he was a hit? Probably not, right? All right, round 7, pick 232, Carrington Valentine, 65.5.
Let's go.
Value. Then you had Lou Nichols, Anthony Johnson Jr., and Grant DuBose all in the 7th round. They are no longer on the team there. So and with Anthony Johnson Jr., it doesn't surprise me he's no longer on the team because when they moved on from Joe Barry, he was a top-down kind of guy. He kind of fit that Fangio style. So You're going to have some guys that don't make it. Not that he was a great player, not that he panned out, but just that comes into play as well. What do you think about this class here, Emilio? How many do you think were hits here? Who are the hits?
Your dogs, man. I mean, just up and down the board. Obviously, the numbers aren't there, but, you got LVN, Luke. I'm excited to see where they go this year. Jaden Reed Tucker wins. Colby Wooden, from where he came, I mean, came in a little bit lighter. He's been putting weight on, just getting better each year again. He's with Luke and Lucas. Sean Clifford has been the backup we could ask for. Everyone that called for the big red dog to come out, I'm glad it didn't happen, but he's been there for him. He's always cheering him on. He's always got he's always got the board. He's always right there. I'm sure rattling info to Jordan. And Tay Wicks, like you said, I hope he turns it up this year because he's got the skills for it. We just need to see it kind of happen again. Carl Brooks has been a dog for us. And, Valentine is, again, a win for where we got him in the 7th. That you just go back and look at how many wins you had in the 4th round and later on all these drafts. I feel like you got to be excited about what Goody's done scouting-wise. It doesn't end at the first round, right? And even though we might have had a little bit of trouble with our first rounders, he has saved it and kept us on track because of how well he does in the later rounds.
Yeah. And Tim, you had 13 draft picks here. Somebody said it in the chat, probably too many picks here, right? And I think that can be a thing. I really do, man. Like you kind of, okay, we got picks where we can make up for that if it don't pan out. Let's take a swing here when maybe it's not the safest pick type thing. But what do you think about this class here?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Yeah.
Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky. No, I think that was probably the goal with this draft, right? Is, you're not going to hit. You never hit on everyone in a draft. It's very rare unless you end up with 3 or 4 picks and you just get 3 or 4 dogs or something. But I agree with Emilio's assessment. I would think my hits would be a little on the fence with LVN, but I don't feel like that's a miss. Same thing with Musgrave. But Jaden Reed, that's a hit. Tucker Kraft, that's a hit. Colby Wooden could prove to be a hit. The big red dog, man, I got to be honest. I think Mr. Elgersma, the Mr. Canada might take his job. We'll see. But Tay Wicks, I think, is a hit. Carl Brooks a hit, and we won't talk about the rest other than best wishes to Grant DeBose out there right now. Hopefully trying to get back to football after kind of a scary season last year with Miami. So hopefully he's doing well.
Yeah. So when I look at it, you got 13 picks here, and I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Carl's tough, man.
Yeah.
Because, again, you had the block kick against Chicago that won you the game.
Yep.
You're talking about a guy who was drafted in the 6th round too. Like if you grade out in the 60s after the 5th round, you kind of feel pretty good about that pick, So yeah, let's count Carl. So I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, according to PFF, would be hits. I'm going to call LVN a miss right now. I'm going to call Luke Musgrave a miss right now. And Colby Wooden a miss right now, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. That could change this year. I hope LVN just comes out and shuts everybody the heck up, man. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Cole said Carl's a good backup. It's a great point. Played a lot of one tech too. People don't realize that because you think of him as a pass rusher and a pass rushing interior defensive lineman, but he played a lot of one tech, held up at the point of attack. So
I kind of put him in that same category as Enigbari, right? Guys that you really love in a rotational aspect.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on to the 2024 draft class. Jordan Morgan obviously battled a shoulder injury in camp. It nagged him all year until it finally landed him on IR. I always say if a rookie grades out in the 60s, it's a good sign like, hey, we may have something there, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, Zach Tom graded out in the 60s, his rookie year, to put things into perspective. And that's why we said that about Eric Stokes. He graded out in the 60s his rookie year. He ends up having a horrible injury. What was it, year 2, I think? And he was never kind of the same player. He just never could put it back together. But Jordan Morgan, 59.2, so he's kind of on the cusp. And again, battling the shoulder injury. If you're grading out borderline 60 according to PFF and you battled that shoulder injury all year, I'm feeling good about what he's going to do healthy. I think he'll take a step forward this year.
All right.
Man, pick 45, Edgerrin Cooper, 85.
Here's the guy.
Home freaking run, right? Then you got pick 58, Javon Bullard at a 54.2. I'm going to say
to be determined.
Yeah, definitely. And this is where you're really into you can't write any of these guys off at this point, right? Because you're talking about going into the second year of their career. Marshawn Lloyd, a 53.3 in the 3rd round there. I'm excited to get him on the field. Obviously, that was minimal snaps last year. What did he play in like the first 2 or 3 weeks? Limited snaps, and then he was done. It might have even actually been week 1, but
I think so.
His career or his season ended real quick.
Yeah.
Next, you got Tyron Hopper. Minimal snaps again, but a 60.7 3rd round pick 91. That's a good sign. Evan Williams, slam dunk, 72.5 as a rookie in the 4th round. Goody hits on those 4th rounders, boys. He does. Then you got Jacob Monk, who played pretty much 0 snaps for the most part last year. Pick 163. We'll see what happens there. Katano Ladapo started to get some more snaps toward the end of the year. 72.9 for Mr. Ola Home Depot. 5th round pick, 72.9. If he ends up panning out, what if he ends up being the safety of the future alongside Xavier McKinney? That wouldn't surprise me. Because according to our board, we got 2 of the top 3 safeties on our draft board that year. Javon Bullard and Katano Ladapo were number 2 and number 3 on our draft board according to safeties. Evan Williams a little bit lower. We missed on that. We missed, not Goody. But Katano Ladapo, though, Amelia, were you going to say something about him, man?
Yeah, no, I was just – the fact that when he got a couple of chances to play, he was playing, as good as kind of Evan was when he first got a couple of chances to play. I love that. And the fact that, we have a DB whisperer, all those things. If the big 3 or, if we're going big or 3 safeties, I think that's a possibility. I think that's where maybe we can be a little bit light in the corner room if we have to, and we can play. I think he likes just the bigger body safety, being able to come down, play the ball, and play pass as well.
Yeah. Next, you got this guy, Travis Glover. Tim, I'm going to give you the floor. Here's the guy. I'm gonna give you the floor here, Tim.
You're gonna
Travis
give me the floor. I'm gonna
Glover.
pass it right over to the president of the Travis Glover fan club, Mr. Excelio.
Okay, the only reason he's got a 35-1 right now is because they threw him in to the Eagles game.
They
All right,
literally
at left guard, which he's never played before. Obviously, he's practiced it. But you're going to tell me that that's the grade that man deserves? No, sir.
Oh my God, Amelia, they threw him in like chum in a Shark Tank, didn't they,
Oh,
bro?
it
They're
was
like, go out there
brutal.
and fix this whole damn thing, Travis.
It was like, all right, I get it. We need to build the wall, and I like that you're using Travis to do that. But to throw him into the middle of it, it's like you threw him in there when the concrete was wet and he just started sinking. That's not his fault.
Oh boy, here comes Emilio trying to hop up Travis Glover. We need a T-shirt, man. We need a T-shirt with Emilio.
Giving Travis Glover a hug.
I'm going to get AI to make a picture of Emilio, take his face, and make it like crying, screaming, and put "Leave Travis Glover alone" on the top on the front of the T-shirt, and we'll put the PTA logo on it.
I still should have got a picture with whoever was wearing that Glover jersey in Nashville. I should have done it.
I'm going to stop talking about Travis Glover because my hammy just locked up, and I about screamed like that's the Glover gods out there.
Wait till he's our swing tackle.
Yeah.
You
Now,
wait.
I'm going to say this, Emilio. We give you hell over Travis Glover. I was crazy about Michael Pratt. He didn't even make it out of camp, bro.
At least I got him back on the team for another year.
They threw him out on his head.
Like I said, if he makes the roster, I'm bringing in the wheelbarrow like Stan from South Park. Okay, I mean we are walking that thing in here if that's the case.
Right. And then, of course, you got Kalen King, who didn't play significant amount of snaps last year, but I think we would all agree. I think he's got some high upside. He's one of the fan favorites for sure. I'm excited to see him get some snaps. And again, if Ja's gone, maybe that's a role for Kalen King to rise up the depth chart, make the active roster, and be able to kind of play that depth role there, right? That's how you get that guy on the field to a certain extent. Not replacing Jair, don't take me the wrong way, but just getting him more snaps, or some snaps at that. So again, when you look at that draft class, out of how many picks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 picks, right? In 2024. I would say 1, 2, 3. I'm going to call Javon Bullard a hit right now. I'm definitely not going to write him off. So that would be 4, Adrian Cooper 5, and I'm going to say Jordan Morgan 6. So I feel really good about 6 of the 11 right now. And honestly, I feel good about Marshawn Lloyd too. He just didn't get enough snaps to kind of solidify that grade, I believe. So what do you guys?
I feel good about Travis Glover, so we might as well roll that into 8, 7, 8 with so we're good.
So, Tim, when you look at this draft class, is there anybody on this list, being only 1 year in, other than Michael Pratt, of course, who's no longer on the team? Is there anybody here that you go, nah, that he's not going to be a guy. He's just not going to work out. Does anybody stick out to you, or do you feel like, no, we got to give these guys time?
I feel like we got to give these guys time.
Even Travis Glover?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that because we like O-line depth, and a guy that's already 1 year into a system. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? It's his rookie year. Like Emilio said, he got thrown into the fire, into a spot he wasn't particularly used to playing in a gigantically huge game, biggest game of the year, biggest game of his pro career at that time. And yeah, he fell on his ass. Okay. I'm not going to write the guy off. I do think that there's potential with all these guys. I will say this. I'm most excited to see KT Oladapo, Tyron Hopper, and Marshawn Lloyd's second year jump. I want to see these guys, take those strides. And then Kalen King also on the back end, like you just mentioned. So, right. But no, I'm not willing to write anyone off after one season. I'm not at this point.
Emilio, anything else you want to say other than anything about Travis?
No, I think that I've made my case. I think I've made my case for him to make the 53.
You think you made your case?
No, but good footwork, good hands.
I want to pat you on the butt and you poop my hand. So
yeah, you're right, Matt. You're right. I just hope for the best for him. That's all. Everyone else is tearing him down. Someone's got to pick him up. I mean, I could do the same thing with Tyron Hopper. I think he's going to be a dog.
Hey,
no one's talking about him.
Stay away from Hopper, sir. I just want to remind everybody Hopper graded out a 60.7. All right, so.
here's the guy.
I don't know about that, Tim. Let's don't go that far. All right, we'll see. But I don't know, man. I was watching the San Francisco game last night, and he got a little bit of mop up time because we just absolutely boat raced him last year, right? And it was I seen it. The big thing about Hopper is he's going to be good against the run. You can see he's a heavy hitter, right? He's one of those guys that kind of brings the boom, but he's not as good in coverage. So that's kind of where I'm at on Hopper. For sure. I think he's got a lot of potential there. The fact that they took him in the third round, he was one of those guys that kind of like this year. How many did we end up with, Amelia? Do you remember how many draft picks that we were like they were kind of primed for the picking and we took them? Was it 3? Am I thinking right? Because once we added Savion's top 30 visit, I think 3 were what we ended up.
Correct. Yeah. Matthew Golden was a 30 visit. He just wasn't he just didn't have the gold bar, but yeah, Savion was gold bar captain, and Anthony Belton was gold bar target, and Taylor Elgersman was as well, and Micah Robinson was just not a gold bar, but 30 visit met with.
Got it. So we're kind of hitting on that. We put that list together. You got somewhere between 10 to 13 players that make that list, and we're drafting 2 to 3 of them. It feels like
Right.
So. Excited to continue to refine that. I mean, that was fun draft season this year. An absolute blast. So anything else you guys want to hit on here in terms of these draft classes here recently from Goody? Let's see what they said in the comments. Chris N says, wow, this is a young man's game. Papa Smurf just saying great information. Appreciate you there, Papa Smurf. Anything else you guys want to hit on here before we move on to another topic or get ready to wrap up?
We trust.
Yeah, exactly, Tim, because he's go ahead and do this with other GMs. I mean, he didn't have to go out and just buy players with a lot of money. He's got a young team. He's pretty green light on the salary cap. I mean, go talk to the Saints, go talk to the Cowboys, see what's going on over there with their money situation, and you'd come back and say, okay, Goody's actually doing pretty decent over here. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. There you go. So there's just a walk down recent memory lane with Brian Gutekunst's draft classes. I feel like he's getting better. I do. Like when I say getting better, it's just like they're finding their sweet spot now because they've done really well. I feel like in the last 2 years, hitting on, somewhere around 4 or 5 guys. That's you feel really confident about. H.E. Soder with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, any plans for being in Green Bay for training camp? Unfortunately, my schedule, Soder, and I'm sure Emilio's is the same way.
Yeah.
And it's everything we've got in us to get set up in time to do a live stream from our house, much less make it to training camp. Emilio knows what I'm talking about. Like I said, it's my 19th anniversary tonight, and I'm up here doing it. Tim said, Clayton, you better keep it to 40 minutes. You ain't going to make it to year 20. I'm like, you're right. And then we got in. Next thing you know, I'm going, for those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for an hour or 2.
For those of you listening,
Mandy's leaning outside the door, sharpening her knife right now.
Yeah. He's going to be coming to you live from the car at Walmart. I mean, it's going to be brutal.
Exactly.
Bumming Chick-fil-A Wi-Fi, and I'll just be struggling over here.
Right. Tim, I know you're going to be there for training camp, right, man? Obviously, it's a silly question, but so we're asking here, man. You're going to be in-house, aren't you?
I'm planning on it. As many days as I'm able to be there, I'll definitely be there. Doing my best to give you guys some content and some reaction. And I know it's tough for a lot of people to get up, to camp, summertime. But, if you can, even for a day, it's worth it. If you've never been to a camp, it's totally worth it. Just the closest access you're really going to have to the players all season is during training camp. So I recommend everyone make the trip at least once, even if it's just for a day. But, yeah, I'll be out there for sure. Look for the guy being escorted away from the fence by security. That'll be me.
With the
you're too close, Tim.
Yeah, I'll dress up like Affam with the mustache, and then they'll blame.
Oh, you'll
him.
be golden. You get right through. Bring a ladder and a vest, Tim. You're going in there, man.
I've asked this before. Is it AFAM or AFAM? Let us know in the chat. AFAM, AFAM. Help us with the pronunciation. I always said AFAM, and Jacob got me saying AFAM. So I don't know what it is. Coach Lynn says, talk about this draft class. I wish we had time. Go ahead, William.
I was going to say, I always think that Green Bay is talking about AFAM when they tag who do they tag in all their tweets and stuff? AFM or whatever. And I was like, man, I don't understand.
American Family Insurance, right?
Yeah, I don't understand how AFM's got such an in with the Packers, but man, I'm glad he's in our chat.
Look at that. There it is. Clayton's right. So it's AFAM. Thank you very much. It's probably not his real name. Is that your real name? Phil? I'm not dogging. I'm genuinely asking.
I just got to know.
And we know Jacob's wrong. He's always wrong. We know that. It's just the way it is. So let us know. Let's pause for dramatic effect here. He just said LOL. Okay, cool. Good deal. All right, there you go. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Appreciate you. So there you go, Greg Rice. What's he saying? Technically, it's you, fam.
I got it. I see what you're doing, Greg.
He ain't gonna answer, is he? That's not his real name.
Greg said, "I got to get Glover to sign a jersey for Emilio."
That would be elite, Tim.
You got to find a Glover jersey first, man.
Whoa. Come on now.
We seen one, didn't we?
Yeah, no, we saw one. I can get one off Etsy, even if it's not in the pro shop. We can find it.
Oh
man.
All right, guys.
Over here.
Holmes got it right. Show sucks. It does. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. We'd hate to hurt the viewership any more than we already have here, but we really appreciate everybody making us a part of your evening. If you would hit that like button on the way out. If you're new here, feel free to sub to the channel. Also, the best way to support what we do here at Packers Total Access is to join the Patreon community at patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access, or scan the QR code in the upper right.
We even got Greg to do it. Bought the year membership. It's like he just went to Chick-fil-A for the night, and bam, now he's good all the way through draft season next year, ready to go, man. I love it.
Yeah. And I want to say this, we've got a really cool thing coming up here soon. One of the things I like to try to do with this platform is give back and try to create awareness for, just good causes. And I want to give a shout out to Miss Mary. We got to meet her at the draft, and just an awesome person. And she's a part of an organization that's called My Autism Connection. So what we're going to do is put together a June promotion where basically I'm going to donate an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey, which, by the way, we're going to be doing a giveaway this Saturday. If you're in the Patreon group, anybody who's a member of the $3 tier will be giving away an autographed jersey. We're just going to put everybody who's in the $3 tier on the wheel, spin that sucker, and give it away. I think it's going to be a Dontavion Wicks autographed jersey this Saturday, so get ready for that. Now, with that being said, we're going to donate a Dorsey Levens autographed jersey, obviously Super Bowl champion running back for the Packers in the 90s. And the way we're going to do it is kind of like our giveaways. Anyone, and we'll have a link for you guys when it comes time for this, anyone who goes and donates to that cause with My Autism Connection, what's going to happen is when you donate, list your name and put PTA next to it. Okay, we're going to do it in the month of June, so we got time. I want to go ahead and start getting the word out. If you'll just put in all caps PTA next to the name that you sign up with there with the donation. So you can go anonymous. That's totally cool. I respect that. That's how I do a lot of stuff that I, donate. However, it's not going to get you entered into the contest. So it's a way for me to be able to donate the jersey and give back. I'm also going to make a donation to the cause as well. So if you just put PTA next to your name, then they'll go through and grab all those names of people that donated that have PTA next to it. We'll put that on the wheel and do a separate giveaway. Again, we'll donate the jersey, and I'll make a donation as well. Just a way for us to give back, man. I'm telling you, it's the world can get dark out there nowadays. And we know the way that the media is set up. We know the way that social media is set up. Boy, you can log on to Twitter and you'll see anything negative before you'll see anything positive, right? Like it's just all over your feed. So I think anytime we can bring a little awareness to a good cause and give back, I think it's awesome, man. People have been way too good to me to not try to give back. So I'll just leave it at that. And like I said, Mary is awesome. She introduced us to a few of her friends there at the draft, and it was just a really, really good time. So with that being said, like Afam was like, I don't know if I want to donate. Is it white or green? You're such a jerk, bro. You are that dude. It's a green one, by the way, Afam. So AFAM. It's green. All right.
Oh yeah, it's not red like your Kansas City Chiefs. So,
and it's not black like your heart.
Zinger.
Dead heart, AFAM. So, all right, that's it. See,
you're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
Couldn't have said it better myself, Coach Bisaccia. All right, everybody have a great night. Appreciate y'all. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack.
And we go.
Bye, guys.